Welcome back this morning from TVC, and we're looking at beyond 100 days of the Buhari administration. This is September. We expect that we'll know about the president's men this September. The issue really is we're going to see them and we're going to evaluate them against the president's standards, because the president has said that I'm not just going to be able to behave flip and just day two come out with. We're working on those people, and we want to be sure that we get the right people in. It's a lot of load to bear if you happen to be on that particular list of appointed people. It's a lot of load to bear.
A lot of load to bear, and what that portends is that you will likely get the right people. Now,
because he was somebody who was observing that
some
politicians are not interested anymore.
Nobody wants to serve a president who is a pauper, in quote. Nobody will want to, nobody who wants to steal, who wants to become rich by going to public office, will want to work with a president who, by Nigerian standards, and I'm saying this, with all sense of responsibility, is a pauper.
Well, I understand what you mean, but
yeah,
pauper.
Yes.
The president did declare
now,
in financial...
It means with less than 30 million naira cash,
yes,
if he was to collect the APC presidential form today, he would have had to wipe out his entire savings just to buy the form. Now, so the president's job is actually easier now. If he had about 4,000 people.
So who bought the form for him? The Nigerian people?
Well, he told us he had to, he took a loan,
Yes.
And the rest of it, but well. Now, fact of the matter is this. The president's job in selecting his team is now much easier, because like Tony said, there will be a lot of people who will just be contented with collecting contracts and not being on that team.
Yes.
So
that team is likely to be too hot.
Yes, even the party leaders, will not be under so much pressure now. I'm sure there will be those who will be calling, "Oh God, please don't bother again, don't push again," because
Oh God, leave the matter. I think I'll just manage with contracts.
Yes.
Whatever contracts I can get, I'll manage with that.
Yes.
Leave the matter of appointment.
Now, because look, this is a man who is saying, if you're going to serve with me, you're going to have to also publicly declare your assets. What that means is that we're going to have a fair view of the worth of all of these people. And those who will be unwilling to disclose, you find members of the House of Reps and senators, as much as telling us how much they take home in a month, they prevaricate. So that is will tell you, will that kind of a person with that kind of mindset declare the assets, that he has? So for me, I think the president's work has been lightened by the example he has, he has set. And I think Nigeria should look out for people who have the mindset of serving and building a legacy for themselves, and not just amassing wealth as public officials. And
there's still a lot of those around, you think?
There's still a lot of those people around, a lot.
Okay. Craig from Iyanokwaja, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, Mr. Tony, Mr. Yemi, and Chief Yori, according to Jacob. Yeah, concerning the 100 days.
Beyond 100 days now. We want you to look beyond 100 days.
Yeah, even beyond. It's just so hypocritical if we are comparing the 100 days of Mr. Buhari in a rescue mission. So me, and any of their manifesto, can you even say any of the manifesto can be done in 100 days or within? We are talking of years now. We are talking of months, years, like the economy. Before the economy of Nigeria could be stable, it will take months, years. Let's be sincere. The security issue, you have to take months, because we are fighting a very serious war. In terms of policies, you can make policy, but implementing policy, when will it generate? The country has been in a very shallow situation.
Yeah, but Craig, excuse me, Craig. Okay, we're looking at, given the first 100 days preparation, let's take it like that. Are you optimistic that, fine, after 100 days, they are in a better position to deliver that which they promised than perhaps day 1, day 2, when we didn't know until about day 3 or 4 when we heard that you can't believe the fixing that needs to be done before we can begin to dig foundation?
See, it's very simple. As it is now, the president is really trying. I knew people, let's say in the airport, for example, where they could at least come out to say the money laundering issue in airport has really reduced. This is an improvement. People won't really talk except the political bygones.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Craig. Thank you very much for calling in, Craig. Looking at corruption is a great part of it. Corruption, security, then of course there's the economy, then there's employment. All of these are things in the future. But when you look at the entirety of the spectrum, we've gone 100 days now, and so moving into it, the president is going to have to get a move on. You know, the opposition, for instance, they're snapping at their heels. They're saying, yeah, we'll by all of that, but we expect some action. Well, the president has said that whatever action means, I will not give you my ministers until September. I won't be rushed. So here we are in September. It's
curiously, this is actually not the first president globally that didn't appoint ministers in the first 3 months. It's happened elsewhere in the West, and
by the way, all the states as well. They're taking a cue,
they're following suit. Yeah, because now that may not be the intention. To saving money may not be the intention, but you can imagine how much actually must have been saved by not having these ministers in place now. But really, that is just an ancillary benefit.
Yeah. That was not an intended
really, the intention. But why not take your time and get it right? Speed and accuracy,
yes,
if they can go together, fine. But I will not sacrifice accuracy for speed.
Okay.
So, and I think that is what the president, is trying to do. And until we have, maybe in the next 6 months, we should be able to begin to do a fair assessment of the government. And I think the vice president said something just last week, that the school feeding program is going to roll out very soon, and that the handout to 25 million most vulnerable Nigerians is something they promised at the election, and that is also going to happen soon. But you need to put mechanisms in place to be able to do this and sustain it.
Vincent from Sangoata, thank you very much for holding on all that while. Please go ahead now.
Yeah, good morning.
Thank you for calling in.
Yes, I'm really surprised about the views we have when people who have money go into politics. For the fact that Buhari declared 1 million, 30 million, as the case may be, does not imply that he's a sincere man. Because I'm not saying he's corrupt in any way, but for the fact that somebody has so much money and he comes into politics, you begin to imagine the figure that he has declared, and as such, this person must be corrupt. It's not true. There are sincere people that are making legitimate money. Now, some of the few things we learned during the campaign, the promises and others. Now, 100 days has passed. APC has come out to deny everything that never made such promises. Why can't they now come out and roll out their manifesto? Let them tell us afresh again that this is what they want to achieve. Because if they say that me will be giving to primary school students 5,000 naira to unemployed graduate and all that, and along the line, we're going to continue to hear that, it was not Buhari that said all this. So I think what they should do at this point in time is to come out, let them actually officially roll out to us what they want to do for Nigerians.
Okay, thank you very much for calling in. Appreciate your call. We really do. But when we're talking about corruption, we think of it in relation to uniformed folk, publicly appointed, publicly appointed people and politicians and that kind of a thing. But how about we the people? Because this whole change thing, I think it's Nigeria that APC as a party and as a principle wants to change. But I was reading something, I think FIRS, Federal Inland Revenue Service, they observed, I think they've done a study, and they've said that, look, of the almost 500,000 registered companies, 450,000 companies, only 27.5% of those pay tax, and all the others evade tax. Now, those are not politicians now. Those are not political appointees. So this is a mammoth. It's a behemoth. We're sitting here and talking about those that we appoint to run our affairs and how they have to be squeaky clean. But we ourselves,
Tony is a businessman, so let him talk about that.
So I think
Tony, yeah, okay, yeah, go on that, go on that. I'm sorry, we just let me hear Tony on this. We won't take calls for a while. Let me for another 3 minutes or so.
Corruption is top down and sometimes bottom. The person that gives the bribe and the person that takes the bribe, they are both corrupt. But if you have to give bribe to get something done, and the consequence of you not giving the bribe means in the Western companies that deals with Nigeria, they call it PR. They've been able to barricade themselves and they create a third party. So at the end of the day, you know if you don't do this, you won't get the business. And in business, you have to make money to survive. Ultimately, let's look at one institution in Nigeria.
No, sorry, sir. I'm talking about the allegation that more than 75% of registered businesses in Nigeria evade tax.
The only way that would be possible if there were coercion inside FIRS itself, meaning that they're helping them evade taxes. I mean,
that's where the bribery comes from.
Yeah, if you've dealt with the FIRS officials, I mean, they have enforcement unit. They have powers beyond your imagination. So if that is happening, it's because there's corruption and of course, with the new leadership under President Buhari, we know that Mr. Fowler have been taken to FIRS. What's happened in Lagos, we're expecting a replica at the global scale, at least at the national stage. But here's the critical part. Corruption won't disappear. Even in America and in Britain and in Germany, there's corruption, and there are corruption. The key thing is to make sure that we have the judiciary, and he mentioned that earlier. We need to make sure we have an active judiciary, and also the press. The press has a critical role to play in this.
Indeed, and I suppose also, you know, not unimportant in all of this is making corruption not so easy. And that's what we've been talking about now. First of all, you have a president who has declared his assets publicly, put it out there. Same thing with the vice president. Yeah, other officials are a bit slow to follow suit, but it shows you the standards by which he's going to operate. With whoever you are, it shows you the standards. If I could tell Nigerians about myself, then I certainly, as your boss, can ask you, just what have you got?
And I think transparency is important in this, but really the declaration of asset, the advantage to Nigeria is not now that the president, he has actually more whatever to declare more. It's when he's leaving office.
Yes.
We know and compare the notes. If he's declaring that he's worth 150 million or 200 million right now, and all of a sudden you are worth 10 billion, we want to know how.
Okay, now I didn't know that Prince Wise has been holding on all this while. Thank you very, very much, Prince Wise. I thought you disconnected and were trying to get in again. Please go ahead, sir.
Uncle Yori, if you love somebody very dearly, if you offend you, we just look at one side, say go ahead. So we love your program, we love what you are saying, that I don't bother.
Thank you very much, sir.
If I spend 200 naira on this program, I'm okay. Number one, we thank God. But not a card carrier of APC, but we are lover of Jonathan, of Buhari. From day one, we will take a stock. 100 days of Buhari, we are very happy with him. After 100 days, there's a lot to do. What I expect right now is the ministers. Secondly, we want continuity, but not continuing of corruption. Continue of some roads back on by the former government, the education-wise, other things. But what we want this government to keep, according to our slogan, is to keep corruption. Now, we have resources in this country today is very minor. Why am I saying this? West Bristol government is set cruise oil at 104, and today it's below $40-something per barrel. So we need to tackle all the resources from elsewhere. That is, go back to land. Agriculture is supposed to tackle this. They need to farm settlement. We need all this. So the president is on course. If Mr. Uncle Yori, I was wondering, former minister, former head of state, former PTF chairman, executive chairman, former governor of more than 5 states now, is now having 30 million naira. 30 million, naira, 30 million. For God so loved Nigeria, he gave us Muhammadu Buhari to be our president. In fact, we thank God. God Almighty will protect this man.
Thank you very much, Prince Wise. And once again, thank you for that marathon hold on. Interesting point that he is making there. It looks like Nigeria is on a cusp. And the presidency, you know, not just the president, it looks like the way they're going about this is that we mustn't blow it. We mustn't blow this opportunity because the goodwill balance, the credit balance is astronomical for the first time in a long, long while. But we're still, I guess the honeymoon's over now. Can one say that?
The honeymoon has been long over. You know, it's been long over.
Because now we want to begin to know, in particular terms, what you're going to do about those jobs that you're going to provide.
Yeah, quickly. The issue of companies evading tax.
Okay.
Not all registered companies are actually in operation.
Yes, yes. Some of them are fallow, like telephone lines.
Exactly. And then what Tony said is also a very big problem. Because these people actually pay tax in some form or the other. It's just that they don't have records with the government. He said that they have whatever they have to pay to government and they give it to certain people. So those are the kind of things. And that is why I think the president's appointments are actually spot on. Because he's found somebody who has done what he wants to see. Let me come back
to you. I beg your pardon. Okay. And remember where you got to is that you think the president's appointments are actually spot on. I'm going to come back to that point. Because Ibrahim is on the line from Bida in Niger State. Good morning, Ibrahim.
Good morning. How are you? Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Ibrahim.
Please, I want to make my contribution, please. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Good morning. It's Ibrahim speaking.
Good morning.
Ibrahim, good morning.
All right. In fact, we thank God. If there's anybody who is happy, it's me, I for one. Nigeria, in fact, we have run to the last stage that will collapse, and Buhari have come to save us. We take him very much. But then, people are saying minister. To me, minister, for us, minister is not our problem. Because what the Buhari is doing now, I think he's doing the right thing. We should hold on, give him time. Even though if the minister will take us to December, the election will be December, there's nothing wrong.
December is too long. December is too long. Ibrahim, December is too long.
It's more important in anything in life.
All right, then. Thank you very much for calling in.
Unless you want to turn the president to a sole administrator. Now, so like I was saying, you see, in analyzing or in evaluating, you know, a leadership, we must look more closely at even those intangibles. Now, because ultimately, it is the intangibles that actually outlive, the leaders. Today in Nigeria, there seems to be a reorientation led by just one man that corruption really doesn't pay. And that number two, you can get to any height without you having bags of money. That it's not just money that can fetch you everything. Because when the president is entitled to 23 million naira every month as pension, it takes 10% of that, 2.3, willingly. So that accounts for the, otherwise somebody might say, no, that 30 million cannot be correct. Because every month this is what is expected to even take home as pension. But he is a president, a public servant. He doesn't even have a company registered. Some will see that as a crime. If you are in service, you are working now, and you don't have a company of your own. In Nigeria, it got to a point that the values have been warped.
Yes.
And
yes.
people think that you must have a company of your own on the side.
So
a lot of reorientation is taking place, and this is what will even actually take us further than what we're talking about. And in terms of jobs, what do you think?
Can I come back to jobs? I beg your pardon, because George has been holding on from Ikeja for a while. Good morning, George.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you for calling in.
I like your looks this morning. I will grab your style when I go to the salon.
Too kind, too kind.
Uncle Yori, people who are saying that the president has no economic direction, it's either they do not want to see it or they have not looked very well. Nigeria has only one problem, and that problem is corruption. The previous administrations we have had that set up economic teams within 2 weeks or 3 weeks, corruption did not allow it to work. And here is the man that has come and said, okay, corruption must be tamed to set economic tone and a sense of direction for our economy. Is that not economic policy? Is that not economic direction? And he has gone about it, creating a template where whoever comes in will have to key into a particular framework. Either he keys in or he gets out. That's why you see your speakers are saying some people are even no longer interested in coming to the cabinet. Because a template is being set on the ground, and they have seen that they may not be able to key in. That is an economic direction. That's the policy direction. So what are people talking about? All I want to recommend to the president is that he should not lose focus. And he should not listen to people who are trying to bamboozle him into setting up a cabinet. It's another way of corruption, trying to crawl into the executive, just as what has happened in the National Assembly. Thank you, and thank you for what you are doing for Nigeria, Uncle Yori.
Thank you very much, Mr. George. Appreciate your call. There's the other aspect, the president as the leader of his party, he also has, some domestic work to do as well. Yes, it might be domestic to the party, but it is the ruling party, so people are watching how that whole body behaves. And shall we say, there was something of a shaky takeoff. We've been told by APC, every time I get hold of any one of them and I try to ambush him with a question in that regard, he says, can you guys just chill? Give us time to fix our matters internally. We want to assure you it is being addressed, and la la la, la 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 la. All of that, that's the way they have to say it. You're optimistic that the president is going to get on top of this whole thing about party supremacy especially?
I think the president is already on top of that. And I think, again, I think George said one thing that we should focus on making sure that the president is focused on solving. For all the distractors of this current administration, again, I agree with you, give it time. And number two is, look, there's already a manifesto. Nigeria actually voted on that manifesto, and we're going to create X number of jobs, millions of jobs. We're going to make sure that we give 25 million Nigerians at the bottom a safety net, which is very important, and which is going to cost about maybe almost less than 2 billion every month to give this. Those are the manifestos.
And these are monies that were frittered away. Yeah. It was there. It was frittered away.
And I think even the president actually addressed the major issue that I'm going to use the corruption money brought back to fund this program. But here's the more important thing. With all of these things being said, let's face it, the president can't do this job by himself. Because if you are meant to create 10 million jobs, you have to, all your ministers, you have to say, okay, Ministry of Agriculture, you have to create 500,000 and now give goals. And that's all the banks and organizations, that's how they are run.
And perhaps, I'm sorry to interrupt you because we've run out of time. And then we ourselves, because I go back to that little item, I don't know, it might be little, from the FIRS that they've done this study. They found that there are 450 odd registered companies, and they found that only 27% odd have actually paid any form of tax. Now, Yemi has pointed out that some of those companies might not be active, but just a quarter, I am sure, I'm sure, I almost could bet on it that maybe there's another, at least you could take it up to 50%. If you could, get, between that 27, you could take it up to 50%.
My attempt was just to reduce the negative, you know, from 70.
Yes, so the sense in which we the people talking right now that own businesses, maybe there are aspects where we are being inadvertently
and
corrupt.
Like I said, I think that is why, because in Lagos that has been largely, reduced.
Yes, yes.
So
they've mopped up on
perhaps that is why it's okay. Let's look at the guy who did it in Lagos
and see
as
what
a
can be done,
technocrat and see whether I can replicate it at the level. But in closing, let me say that we need to be a bit more patient.
Yes.
Like I always say, Nigeria is like somebody who is just emerging from an accident.
More patient
and
about
you have to stop the bleeding. The bleeding is being stopped.
Okay.
I think the bleeding has been stopped.
Okay.
You know when you are recovering, you need to stabilize first. And I think the country has stabilized.
We completely run out of time now. Completely run out of time. But thank you very, very much, Yemi Mapaderun, Registrar, Nigeria Air Force School of Finance and Accounts, and Mr. Tony Ashamu, entrepreneur and politician. Thank you, gentlemen, for sharing your insights with us. That's our program today. I'm Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now. See you tomorrow.